I'm sure at this point we've all seen these clips stemming out of New York or London where you have a group of enrichers running into a store and looting it. Now, what's quite to blame for this is open to debate. Errant fatherless children, probably. A nihilistic, materialistic, violent rap culture, also probably. Weak policing, mass immigration. All of these things are correct. Yeah, I wouldn't say they're the biggest reason. Now, hear me out. I know this is a bit odd, but I think it comes down to weirdos like this. This they them wants to make out that he/she is some sort of countercultural rebel against the power structure. But really, these sheltered upper middle class communal anarchists are really pretty much the views of the liberal elite. And just quickly, I'm sorry to abuse your eardrums with this racket, but just listen closely to what Annie Lennox is saying here.
Morally and ethically okay to steal from Tesco's, Asda, Morrison, Sainsbury's and Waitrose. Not even just if you need to survive when you're starving. No one expects you to die. I mean, you absolutely should steal as much as you can. Have food and Blu-rays and flowers for your nan, because big companies are harmed by stealing. Because even if they're short, it raises their premiums, which is cool, fine. And actually what I wanted doing, hunt some monolithic corporations is awesome. When you add up the 8 billion in overtime violations, the other 4 billion in breakfast violations, and the other 20 billion in minimum wage violations. And the fucking bread and hummus that I put in my bag is actually fucking well running. I'm on the road, she's on the road.
The absolute state of supposedly countercultural music these days, eh? Anyway, these are broadly the typical views that you find amongst the liberal elite. They're pretty juvenile teenage opinions. And these stem from a generation that are what I call top-heavy. They're full of these intellectual theories and fancy ideas, but they're very, very low on street smarts, common sense, and practical wisdom as to how the world works. These idiots want to present themselves as some anti-capitalist faction and would find someone like me critiquing them on the side of the corporations they're supposedly against. So firstly, I'm not pro these modern multinational corporations for one very simple reason. They tend to support the exact woke views that idiots like this stand for. But the problem is, from simply stealing from multinationals and shops on the high street, is that society as a whole system runs upon trust, on the general reliability of the populace. If everybody starts stealing whenever they want, then society will start to fundamentally break down. And that's bad, not because of the CEOs at Sainsbury's or Tesco's and their shareholders, but because Brenda, the checkout lady, doesn't get paid that month, because Pete the electrician can't feed his kids, the accountants can't work, the adjacent businesses have no work either, and so on and so on. Now, all of that seems a high price to pay so some enrichers can steal some trainers and Nancy Sinatra can virtue signal about how neo-Marxist he/she is. As I say, these views are largely held or at least sympathised with across the liberal elite, and that feeds into all manner of institutions in our present system. Yet the harsh reality about societies and cultures is, if you don't have high trust, things aren't going to function very well. And an even harsher truth is that well-functioning, high-trust societies which bring the world forward tend to be culturally and yes, even ethnically homogenous. Now, that's not saying it's impossible for anyone from any other different ethnicity or culture to integrate into a broader mother culture, but they have to come in reasonable enough numbers and have time to integrate into the broader cultural sphere. Yet our system is the complete opposite of that. If you call for some sanity and restraint around it, they'll call you the isms and the ists that they always do, especially people like the lady/man in that band. So before we can even make a fist at stopping some of this errant behaviour, you first of all have to take out this mad woke ideology that underpins it in the first place. However, I'm personally starting to think that parts of the UK are lost, London included, and we're better off just leaving them to the wolves and moving on, starting something much fresher in the future. These are just my thoughts, however. Do let me know what you think down below and do consider subscribing to the channel.